Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another GFRL stream. I'm here again. We're in Zandvoort for round 6, so I think it was, of season 7, and yeah, cute. Our qualifying's just begun. We've got Zuyarek coming around the final corner, who's just about to begin the first run of the Q1 session, or just the qualifying session, as he gets underway down the pit straight in towards that first corner. And so he's just taking it carefully, I think, for now, taking quite a low line around the carousel of turn 3, then it's up the hill towards the fast right-hander of 7. He's got the RB behind him of Lucas there, who's just came out of the pits as he is going through turn 1, through 8 in towards the hairpin right of 9, and there's the hairpin left of 10 following on, and then into the first DRS zone of the circuit, heading down towards the second chicane of turns 11 and 12, 48.2. In those first two sectors, it's an awfully short lap, which means we can get quite a decent bit of qualifying action. Pinky's got off the circuit already. The two RB drivers have collided, and one of them will not be taking any further part in qualifying. As it goes across the line, and it's a 1:09.2 for the first run of qualifying. I honestly could not tell you what just happened down there, but what it means is Pinky's not going to take part in qualifying. Luke has got a grid penalty for it. So the pair came together in qualifying. It's not something you see all that often. It means Pinky's going to be starting from the back of the grid, and Lucas is just kind of, he needs a good result now, or otherwise I think he's going to be especially disappointed. Edwin goes into P3 with a 1:10.1, Phantom Fox 1:10.2, as they both slot in behind. As BS Gabri just starting his first run of qualifying. As Leon across around the final corner and gonna head up to the line, goes into P5 with a 1:10.3, about a tenth off the next car. So it's not a detrimental gap, but it's not ideal. You'd want to be closer to the rest of the field. And then around the final corner comes Foles in the Aston Martin, heading up towards the line, who goes into P2 with a 1:09.4, going pretty much in the middle of Zuyarek and Blackberry. Give me a second. And I think everyone's finished their first runs in that time that happened. Which just means, yeah, you've got these drivers going nice and slowly to stay out of the way. Track racer up the hill will be just heading through that middle sector. He's still on his outlap at the moment. But everyone else isn't on a lap at the moment, so it will be Track Racer who's the next to do much significantly, do anything particularly significant. He heads around the final corner and will begin his first run of qualifying, blasting down that main straight using a decent bit of battery, but while also saving some for the lap ahead as he heads in towards that first corner. Right hand hairpin, gets back on the barrel as soon as he dares, trying to avoid that curb too much. It's not the most fun curb to encounter. There's quite a low line around the carousel, as is typically the fastest on this game. On the curb a bit, that's not ideal. Kept in a straight line though, and now heading up the hill in towards the right-hander of turn 7, 24.4 in that first sector, carrying the speed, keeping it foot to the floor through that right-hander of 7, through 8 as well, keeping it completely flat. Now under braking for 9, gets it through pretty quickly. There's a Ferrari just on their outlap who does get out the way. That was Prix, and gets back on the power on the exit of 10, blasting down in towards that final chicane of turns 11 and 12. And then back on the power he goes. It's 2 more corners to go. It's the right-hander of 13, the last proper corner, and now it's flat out all the way from here. Round what is the final corner. A little dip of the wheels into the grass won't be ideal for the straight line speed, but it shouldn't cost too much. Drought Racer goes fastest with a 109.1. And Blackberry's just starting his next lap, as it's Mihai just starting his first one. Now I need to see what happened between the two RBs, because I've seen there is something that happened. Let's have a look at this. Ooh, yeah, that's not ideal. Tried to get out of the way, did it too late, made contact. I'm not sure how the first sector was going for me. I think Blackberry might have backed off that. Yes, he has. So somewhere around there's been a mistake for Blackberry. He's gonna back off, and I think he's gonna start another run after this one finishes, and we'll try to complete that one. Mihai coming round in towards that final corner of turn 30, or final proper corner of turn 13. Then it's flat out around the banking through turn 14, running quite low on ERS deployment, which will cost him in a straight line as he heads up to the line. Can only match P8, does slot in ahead of his teammate, but it's fine margins between the two McLaren drivers, perfectly balanced at the moment. And I do believe Blackberry's just starting his next lap, which indeed he is. The two Mercedes drivers also just heading out onto the circuit. I assume one will be providing a tow for the other. And so Zuyadek's also come out onto the track for the second time. We'll be seeing what he can do. Edwin's also heading out again. We've got almost all the field on the track at the moment, besides first, third and fourth. Track Racer, Foles and Lucas. They're the only 3 who aren't out on the circuit at this moment in time. But it's the two Mercedes drivers who are the furthest around the lap. P1XX, I think, was delivering a tow down that main straight as Leon goes past him and is seemingly just starting his lap pretty much now. No, he's 2 seconds down. What are they doing down at Mercedes? That is a good question. I think there was some form of plan there. I'm not sure if it worked out though. Zuyadek is the first driver on what seems to be a competitive lap then, as he's a tiny bit down in his delta through that first sector, but might have just saved a little bit more battery than he did last time to have a bit more to deploy throughout the rest of the lap. And through the hairpin right of turn 9, and now into the left of 10, back on the power as soon as he can for the run all the way down this first DRS zone in towards the chicane of 11 and 12. He is now a tiny bit up through that middle sector, so he did find that time back that he lost in the first sector, and the question is, does he have more battery to deploy as he comes round the rest of the lap? DRS active round the banking, blasting his way up to the line, getting upwards of about 300 kilometers per hour, and he does go fastest by a tenth of a second with a 109.0. Edwin has invalidated his lap, and he's going to have to come back into the pit lane. Phantom Fox around the final corner is 2.5 tenths up. He's going to blast his way up to the line and goes into P7 with exactly 2.5 tenths found. Jumps up in between the two houses. Did he just hit the inside wall there? He has jumped up ahead of the two. Oh, he's in between the two house drivers. Oh dear, that's not quite the ideal habitat for a car. That's not the ideal position to find your Formula 1 car. As P1XX makes a huge mistake and finds himself clattering the barriers and will not complete that flying lap. BS Gabri improves by a tenth, doesn't gain any positions as he remains in P6. Lucas has just started his next flying lap, having unfortunately ended the qualifying of his teammate. He's going to hope he can make up for that by setting a good time, but he does also have what I believe is a 5-place grid penalty for that incident, so at the moment he's only in a net P9 despite being in that top 4. As around the final corner of the banking he goes and will run up to the line as quickly as possible and jumps up into P3 with an improvement of close to 0.3 of a second. And I think BS Gabri's going to be in for pit lane as well, so we're going to see no drivers on track as we prepare for those final runs of the session. Into the pit lane comes BS Gabri, and yeah, Lucas is out of fuel. He's going to be into the pit lane as well. But the first drivers we're going to see out onto the track is the two Mercedes drivers, and I believe, oh no, so that's a Haas going back into the garage, not one heading out. There's P10 and P11 on the grid at the moment for Mercedes, which is not where they want to be. So it's going to be Leon, who's the first of the two Mercedes drivers to start his final flying run, heading around that penultimate corner, final braking, final point off throttle, and is going to head up to the line to begin his final run of qualifying, or what's likely a final run of qualifying. He might have the time to go for another in case he messes this one up, but through that first sector he goes. He's kept it pretty neat and tidy so far around the carousel, taking a nice low line back on the power as soon as he does. A little bit of a bump there on the exit. Might just touch that curb a bit more than is ideal, but up the hill in towards turn 6. He's 0.4 up on his previous best already. That's much better, much closer to what he would have liked as he heads in towards that right-hand hairpin of turn 9. Back on the power. Oh no, that's not what he would have liked. He's gone into the barriers. As it looked like he was going so well, he's just made a mistake through 9, found himself in the barriers, and that will be P10 at best, and his teammate is likely to out-qualify him. And if he does out-qualify his teammate, that will drop Leon down to P11 on the grid. He's 4 tenths up through the first sector. He would have been comfortably ahead of some of the drivers around him, but he just put it into the barriers, and that Mercedes will not be seen again in this qualifying session, as B1XX is starting his final run of the session. I think the plan was he was going to receive a tow from his teammate, but that's not going to happen. Oh, he's almost got off the track as well. Mercedes drivers are really struggling in this session. I'm slightly surprised he's not chosen to back off and start another run with the way that first sector went. Although he doesn't have the fuel to do so, so this is it for the Mercedes, and it's not looking promising for their qualifying session. Strat Racer seems to have made a mistake through that first sector. He's not deploying ERS anymore, and I don't think he's going to be able to improve. Although with 45 seconds left in the session, he might have enough time. It's going to be tight. If he has managed to fully recharge the battery, I think he'll be okay. P1XX heading his way around the final corner. It's only up by 1.5 seconds, considering... Oh, I think he did back off after the mistake last time. He's going to head up to the line. Yeah, so 1:10.8. He will be qualifying P11. And Track Racer has had the time to start another run. But at this point, these are the final runs. Falls almost 2 tenths up as he heads through that final sector. DRS active. Goes round the final banking. And on his run up to the line... He's going to hope he can get himself up. It's a 2/10 improvement, but it's no positions gained. He remains in P4. Lucas next to the line. He goes to provisional pole with a 108.8 next to the line. Prix. He can't find time. He's 3 thousandths down on his personal best. He's going to remain in P9. Edwin next to the line in the Hasker goes blasting up to the line. He improves by 1/10, but can only find one position up to P9. Zuyadek next to the line. He goes to provisional pole, displaces Lucas and goes faster by a further 1/10. Phantom Fox can only improve up to P7. I don't think he improved. Mihai won't improve because he's in the pit lane. It's all down to see what Track Racer can do. He's a 10th and a bit up, almost 2 tenths, but he's blasting his battery all the way up to the line, and he can't improve. Oh, he does improve by 1.5 tenths, and he can't find any positions. It's Zuyadek on pole, followed by Lucas, and then it's Track Racer in P3, separated by about 3 tenths of a second. They're all within less than 2 tenths of a second of one another. But it's Zuyadek on pole, followed by Lucas, and then it's Track Racer, then it's Falls, Prix, BS Gabri, Phantom Fox, Edwin, Mihai, Leon, who crashed out of qualifying, and P1XX. But I think with Lucas's grid penalty, he's going to drop down to P7. I think he's going to drop down 5 positions. It's a 5-place grid penalty, so he's going to start P7. So it's going to be Track Racer, who starts on the front row alongside Zuyadek. And it's lights out, and away we go. And Zuriatic has got a good start, and he is going to lead them into the first corner, but Track Racer is on the inside. He's got to think about going for a move. He does try to go for the move, and he does actually make it on the exit, as the soft tires have utilised a better start, as he does lead them on the first lap, followed by Zuriatic, then it's Foles, but he is on that soft compound of tyre. He leads them away, but he is on the soft tyres, which have, at this circuit, it's such a high degradation. They will be screaming within just a handful of laps. It's honestly at the point where most drivers don't see it as one, but this is more of a medium-hard sort of circuit than a soft-medium. Despite the game reckoning, you can do a soft-medium strategy here. It's really a struggle, as Leon and Edwin try to go side by side, I think, which is put the Mercedes slightly off his line, and he's dropped down a couple of positions. But Track Racer leads him away then on the first lap, but he will have to watch out, as later in the race, when his soft tyres start to struggle, he's gonna fall. He comes off the inside just to stop Zuriatic getting the toe. But it is the first lap of the race with a 1:15.1, and he's just going to try and pull away on this second lap as he can to try and break the DRS. Because if he can't break the DRS while on those soft tyres, that will be pretty much a race killer. And Track Racer has not been able to break the DRS. So it will be Zuriatic who keeps him close. Like I said, the game reckons this circuit is a soft medium, which just doesn't work. There's always Track Racer gone off the circuit. I don't know how he did that. But he's gone off the circuit, and that's going to just allow Zuriatic to close in. Foles has lost the DRS. And Black Prix, he's going to move past. It's a little bit of a mistake from Black Prix as he goes around the carousel, but he will remain out front. Leon has come into the pit lane already. I think that's a change of front wing that has had to be done for the Mercedes driver. While those hard tyres are a good tyre, they're not going to make it to the end. Like, you can try, but they simply won't make it all the way. So he's going to have to come into the pit lane again, regardless of what he does. But Zuriatic is now closing in to Track Racer. P1X has gone off in the background. It's not been the start that Mercedes wanted in the slightest. So they're back down to P11 and P12 after not even 3 laps have been completed. So we had it closing. I don't think he's close enough, but he does switch to the outside. He is going to try and go for it, but he doesn't have what it takes. But he's getting closer, and it shows those soft tyres are not particularly good. After just a few laps, they start to fall off. Black Prix has closed his way back into the DRS, but it's close. I don't think he's going to get to it this time around, but he has closed it back in, and he's got it close. As they go round to the final corner again, Zuriatic will start to close in, but again, he's not going to be close enough to go for a move, but it's just the fact that he's staying within that DRS, and Track Racer's tyres are only going to get worse and worse relative to those of Zuiadek as well. And while the soft tyres did allow him to get a good start, they haven't allowed him to just keep that advantage. See, he is now starting to fall. He's starting to fall back, but so is Blackberry as well, because he was within a second. He's now 1.8 behind, which is just the power of DRS. Especially with the high downforce that people will be running for the circuit. Just the DRS pulls you along so much. And that shows, because Blackberry's, he lost about 4 tenths on the straight, and then another 4 somewhere around the lap. But Zuiadek's back close again to the back of the Red Bull. So go, round 13, back on the power they go, round the final corner, the banked final corner. And he's going to start closing back in again with that DRS. I don't think he's going to be close enough, but it might be a similar case to what we saw just a couple of laps ago. He doesn't try anything this time, he just sits behind and will wait until he strikes for another lap or two. Roughly what I remember of this circuit, Track Racer's tyres are not going to be happy at this stage in the race. I think I saw a race here where the softs punctured by about lap 12, and the game wants you to do 16 at this track. It's just not going to work. It's just not. It doesn't work. It feels like it should, but after a few laps, it's just not worth it anymore. But Track Racer does still lead, even though I'm saying this. He is still out front, and Zuiadek is still just sitting behind him. But eventually, as Track Racer goes onto the curb there, I think he might have picked up a track limits warning, as well as Zuiadek now being on the back of him, and he's going to go for the move, and he's just going to breeze his way past and move up into the race lead, round the outside of the first corner. And I don't think he's going to look back. He should have that tyre advantage, as Track Racer's retired from the session. Oh. That? Okay. Track Racer just given up. As he lost the race lead and he just retired there and then. So now Zuiadek is just comfortably out in P1, and I don't think he's going to have any problem here. Did he retire deliberately, or is that a game issue? So now, it's Zuiadek who leads from Lucas in P2, who's worked his way back to where he qualified despite that grid penalty. And then it's Blackberry sitting in P3, 2 tenths behind the RB. Then it's Phantom Fox, then it's Foles. Pinky is right there as well. Then Edwin and BS Gabriel, the two Haskars, are rather close to one another. And then Mihai and P1XX are there as well. Leon picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's down in P11. There's a virtual safety car deployed for Leon, who's lost his front wing. Now it's lap 8. Is it too early to think about pitting? I think it's too early if you're on the medium tyre, but if you're on the softs, will people consider it then? Leon is into the pit lane. He's going to change his front wing, and he's gone on to a set of the wet tyres as we go green again. And Zuiadek's got that restart comfortably as he just pulls away a bit from Lucas there. I'm not quite sure why Leon's gone onto the wet tyre, but Blackberry's got a brilliant restart. He just goes flying past Lucas into the first corner, and the Ferrari moves back up into second place. As Leon's now a lap down to most of the field, driving on the wet tyre. And he is also struggling ever so slightly to drive it in a straight line. As Mia's gone off around the carousel, he's got a bit of damage to his front wing. He's clearly hitting a barrier some point around there. Foles has caught up to this front group thanks to that virtual safety car. And Leon's now going very slowly and has dropped down to 11th place. As he is, of course, on that wet tyre. But now P2 down to P6 are now all within one big old DRS train. And the two Haas cars still together on the circuit, but now Mihai's just in a bit of a race of his own. Having had that spin, Spias Gabri moves past Edwin into the first corner. And the field's just kind of sitting there at the moment. They're not too tightly packed, but they are all within DRS of one another. And I think unfortunately it's going to stay like this for an extended period of time. Leon's brought out another virtual safety car as he's just driven off the road again. Zoe Alex this time has decided to come into the pit lane, as do pretty much all of them. They've decided that lap 11, going on to lap 11, is the sort of time when it's worth it to pit under a virtual safety car. Edwin is going to take the lead of the race in the Haas, as he's one of the only drivers who decided to stay out and see if his tyres can hang on for a little bit longer. What is Leon doing just driving around on the wets? I don't understand. Leon's now going on to a set of intermediates, because that's a lot better. have gone green again. I think Lucas has got a pretty decent restart this time. As definitely Foles has, as he's jumped Black Prix and has completely cleared him. As now Foles sitting in P4 quite comfortably. Black Pri's out the DRS. He's really got to work with Phantom Fox here, but they're not. They're fighting each other. So they go through that first corner. Phantom Fox around the outside, makes the move stick, and moves up into 5th place. Leon, he's just driving around all over the place. And Zuiadek is catching fast. He's catching up fast to Edwin up ahead of him. And yeah, the tyre difference is monumental, I think, is the word that does it justice. It's a massive tyre difference, and I mean, you can see from the gaps, Mihai's retired from the session. He's brought out a safety car, has he? He's crashed on the straight. Mihai's crashed on the straight, brought out a safety car, and that would turn this race on its head. As into the pit lane comes Edwin. His strategy's worked out thanks to the safety car, as he's coming in and will probably still end up behind, to be fair. But he's not behind by as much as he would have been otherwise. Leon's retired as well, so now anyone on the track will score points, and they'll score multiple points. Edwin does come out behind everyone else, but he is on brand new tyres. Pinky's going to try and go to the end on the mediums, which I don't think is going to work, as it's only lap 14 out of 36. You've got to do over half the race on those medium tyres. P1XX is also into the pit lane. So Zuiadek, who's pretty much controlled this entire race, has now got a fight in his hands with, what, 20 laps to go when the safety car comes in? Something like that. So, yeah, he's got a fight now. It's no longer as easy as it looked like it was going to be. And now he's got to work for this win. Safety car's in this lap, so there's 21 laps to go. They're going to try and all do 24 laps on these hard tyres. It's possible. The mediums won't make it. I couldn't tell you about the hards. They might. 24 laps is an awfully long time. They might struggle towards the end. See how it goes now. And he's got a good restart there. Lucas under pressure from Foles. The Aston Martin on the outside. Going to try and send it all the way around the outside into that first corner. And I think he's going to make that move work. As Foles trying to hang it around. He's not quite going to have the grip required to make it stick. As he does lose out to Lucas, who's made a mistake. But he can't quite capitalise on that. And he is going to stay in P3. Two Haskars go side by side. Edwin moves up ahead of BS Gabri and into P7. Zubiadek does still lead, followed by Lucas. Then it's Foles, Phantom Fox, and Blackberry. Not too much change on the restart. As Foles tried to pressure Lucas but couldn't make that move work. Blackberry has made some form of mistake, might have been pushed slightly wide, and he's dropped a couple of positions down. It's a big send, and it's not worked out. And there's a bit of a shove behind as BS Gabri and P1XX tried to avoid the half spin of the Ferrari, who drops his way down to P7 behind Edwin, who's dropped out of the DRS of the cars in front of him. Zubiadek still leads, followed by Lucas, but it's close. It's close at the front, thanks to the safety car. All these gaps have massively closed down pretty much all across the field. They're all just about within a second of each other. Blackberry is the only driver just outside of that 1 second, but with some of the help of the drivers around him, he might be able to get back into it. But here we go, we've got DRS now on the drivers behind. Lucas with the DRS, he's going to try and gain on the Kick-Sauber, but he doesn't have enough. He's going to have to settle for P2 still, and he's going to just bide his time a bit as he sits behind the Kick-Sauber. But the question is, will he actually have enough straight line speed whilst being close enough to be able to make that move work? P1XX and BS Gabri having a bit of a scrap, but the Mercedes does have to settle behind. We're only just the halfway point now in the Grand Prix. Zubiadek just sitting there out front for the time being. Doesn't need to do too much more than what he's doing. Obviously, he'd rather be sitting in that P1, like sitting comfortably where he was before. Lucas does try and send it, but Zubiadek does just about have enough to hold him off. They're going to go wheel to wheel though, but the Kick-Sauber does keep himself up in front, but he goes a little bit deep into the carousel. But Lucas doesn't have enough when it matters to get himself past. But he is going to close in. He's closing in up the hill, but there's not really any way you can send a wheel up the inside. You have to be properly alongside, if not ahead, to go for a move into 7. And he made the right call in not going for that overtake. Blackberry has left the session, having retired at the pit. And there's a bit of contact behind as Foles just stuck a wheel up the inside through the hairpin of 10. Made a tiny bit of contact with the RB, but thankfully for both of them, they're both still going without damage and facing the right way. Lucas goes a tiny bit deep again, but Foles doesn't have the exit speed to capitalise on that mistake, and he's just going to sit behind for now. But Lucas gets the DRS again, and he's going to close back in, but he's not going to be close enough this time around. He tried to go for the move last time. He can't get even alongside this time. He just has to settle in behind. Lucas is a tiny bit close this time around. He might be close enough, you know, as he's only within 3/10. Here he goes. He's going to go to the outside, and I think this time he's finally going to have what it takes to move up into the race lead. On lap 21, the RB hits the front, having qualified P2, being set back down to P7. He does now take P1 away, and will try and stretch his legs a bit and see what he can do now that he's in the lead of the field. Lucas is going to try and go for it again, but he's not got enough to take the lead back away. So he's just going to have to sit in P2 again. But this front four is still all right there together on the road with 14 laps to go. So Alex going to go for it again as he moves back up into the race lead. Back past the RB. And so Yardek leads with 12 laps to go now, but it's a drift there through the carousel from Lucas. But the thing is that it's going to be tight with their tyres. It's a shame we can't see like roughly how worn they are. It would be nice if we could see that much, but we can't. Well, I can say roughly, at least from my experience, it was about 5% per lap. It was possibly a bit lower than that on hards. No, that was mediums. Hards were maybe more like 4-3. I can't remember exactly, but their tyres are going to be pretty warm by now. Like, is anyone going to try to make that extra stop work as Lucas moves back past into the race lead? Is there a chance that someone is going to decide to roll the dice and try to go for a two-stop? I think it's possible. I'm not sure if it would work, but I'd like to see someone try it, especially someone that's not in a position where they will be taking a win, like someone like a Pinky or a Foles who's in this front train but is unlikely to be able to take a win. I'd quite like to see one of them try and go for that extra stop and see if it works out for them. Although there's 10 laps to go, I'm not sure if anyone will actually try. There's a yellow flag. P1XX has gone off. He's made a mistake through turn 10. And it gets back up to speed. Down in P8 though. It's not the ideal position to find yourself in, especially with only 8 runners. I think he's just going to try and bring the car home from here. It is P1XX because there's not really anything more he can do. Pinky's dropping back a little bit from the drivers in front of him. By that I mean the gap between him and the ones around is bigger than all the other gaps, but none of them are tremendously large. Edward's just sitting there behind Phantom Fox as well. Not really able to do too much. You know, I don't think anyone's able to do very much at the moment. It's not the easiest track for overtaking, but at the same time, it's a track where DRS is quite powerful. Here goes the Mianek back up into the race lead as they go on to lap 29. But these tyres will be a stretch to get to the end. Because, think about it, like, the recommended stint for medium tyres is roughly 16 laps. And they've done them already, and they've got another 7 to go. It's going to be incredibly intense on those medium compound tyres. The question is, will any of them end up suffering a puncture? Like, while the tyre drop-off isn't tremendous here, it's the amount that's... It's just the wear is high. As they're lapping, they're not lapping much slower than what they were doing at the start, but it's just the fact that their tyres will be getting into very high percentages. The sort of percentage that you don't really want to see at all. Foles is weaving all over the place in the Aston Martin. Not sure he knows where he wants to be on the circuit. Seven laps to go now, so they go on to lap 30. Again, just not tremendous levels of on-track action in this Grand Prix. But there's only so much you can expect with 12 drivers. So they're going to go round that fine corner of turn 10 again. I think it will become interesting towards the very end of the race when they start actually pushing on what little tyre they have left. As I say that, I start to get hiccups. As Lucas is going to move back up into the race lead as he passes Zuiadek into turn 1. So they go on to lap 31 of 36. I think at this point we're not going to see any of these drivers risking going for that second stop, which is a shame. I would have quite liked to see something. You know, an extra pit stop throws quite a lot more intrigue into the mix. But it's understandable that they wouldn't want to throw away a potential podium. And none of these drivers... Yeah, you never want to just lose a podium, but it's the risk versus reward of potentially losing a podium, but also potentially turning a P3 into a race win. Zuiadek does move back past Lucas on lap 32 of 36. Not long to go now. It is certainly sort of the home stretch from here, as they just 5 laps to go. They just need to keep their composure. As Lucas is going to go for the move. I think Zuiadek had a bit of a lag spike, a lag back possibly, and he's dropped down from first place down to third within the span of one corner. And he's starting to lag all over the place. Zuiadek is not... Things are not... I think he's under AI now. I think he's disconnected. Something's happened. He's gone under AI mode, and from a few laps ago, before the safety car, it looked like he was comfortably going to just cruise to victory. He's now fallen down to P4 through what seems to be no fault of his own. He's a second behind. He is under AI. That is the AI driving. Something's happened. And it now means that Lucas leads from Foles. Is looking like it's going to be 2 RB cars on the podium. No. Zuiadek's been lagging this entire lap. And actually, he's comfortably in the lead. Oh, D6 back in the games. So that's going to have massively cost Lucas then, who didn't get the DRS for one lap. And it's massively helped Zubiadic, who didn't have to worry about Lucas in his DRS for an entire lap. Who's now the gap, like the gap delta isn't properly working. I think now Zubiadic's just going to cruise to victory because I don't actually know what the gap is, and the game doesn't know what the gap is, and I think that means that no one's going to get DRS from him. If the game doesn't know the gap, then the game doesn't know if cars are within a second or not. The issues with this game, something else. Yeah, the gap, it has now come back. It's 1.1 seconds, and it is going to be Zubiadic who's, I think he's just going to win from here. He's got that 1.1 second advantage. I struggle to see a way in which he loses that with just 3 laps to go, unless Lucas can really have a good couple of laps to get back within his 1 second window. At least at the moment, the desync of the game has massively gone in the favour of Zubiadic. Who's a second clear, going through the final chicane, and he's going to have broken the DRS, and I think from here he's just going to win, thanks to just a desync from the game that's caused him to now be 1.1 clear. Foles is now in the DRS of Lucas and is gaining. While he's not able to get a move, he's certainly closer than he was before. Phantom Fox has moved himself up ahead of Edwin with the McLaren on those old medium tyres. It's understandable that the hards, the same age, will be significantly better. As P1XX has picked up a 10-second time bounty for speeding in the pit lane, as he seems to pit to want to snag the fastest lap away from Zubiadic, who's now 1.4 seconds clear in his strive for race victory in Zandvoort. He's 2.3 seconds clear now. He's clearly saved a lot of tyres across this entire stint, and now he's demonstrating that, and he's just running away. As Lucas ends up losing out to Foles and his teammate Pinky almost, as they're going to go side by side on the final lap now through turn 3. It is Pinky who gets himself ahead of his teammate, and Lucas, who might have thought he was about to win thanks to Zubiadic's desync, has now lost the podium because of it, and he's fallen down to P4. And now Foles is sitting on that second step of the podium. He's just got to hold on to Pinky behind him, who's going to try and keep himself there. He's going to try and get himself ahead, but so they've gone through most of the major overtaking opportunities. The run to the line is shortened. The run to the first corner is shortened by the line for when the race will end. So they're going to go round the final corner. It is going to be Kickstarter on the top step. Zubiadic was on pole position. He led pretty much the entire race up until that safety car, and he is going to win the Dutch Grand Prix as Foles comes home P2, Pinky P3, Lucas P4, who was in second place for such a long time. And it's going to be Phantom Fox, or is it going to be? They're going to be a photo finish to the line. Edwin gets P5, Phantom Fox in P6, separated by less than 100th of a second. And then BS Gabri comes home P7. B1XX is trying to go for the fastest lap of the race. I'm not sure if he's going to get it. He's trying. As he heads around the final corner. He does set the fastest. I think he did, at least. That might have just been saying he didn't serve his 10-second bounty. He might have taken the fastest lap of the race. I think he did. Yeah, he did get the fastest lap of the race. So B1XX will take home that extra point. Here's victory for Zuiadek, who comes home by winning by 2.3 seconds. B1XX does get the fastest lap as he comes home P8. And thank you for watching this stream today, and